Hi, I'm Dre. I'm your mindset coach and mentor at Change, and I'm welcoming you to another one of our Thursday workshops where we go over some strategies that you can use to help you overcome your fears and self doubt so that you're able to become the champion of your dream life. There are three mindsets that we focus on. This month, we are focusing on the execution mindset. More specifically, we have been talking about how to manage stress and avoid burnout. Today, we're going to talk about people pleasing and the fears, anxieties, and the overall stress that is caused as a result of it. People pleasing is driven by two fears. It's going to be the fear of rejection, where people, if you don't give them what they want, they're not going to want to hang out with you, they're not going to want to associate with you, or they're just not going to be nice to you. And the other one is fear of failure, where you think the perception that others have of you will change whenever you fall short of their expectations. Now, while both can be true, the question that I want us to constantly be asking in the back of our mind is that so bad? Because what I want us to understand is sometimes our fears are so strong of the unknown, so strong against change, that we do whatever we can to keep things the way they are, and we don't ever ask ourselves, am I happy with the way my life is right now? Am I enjoying the work that I have to do to make other people happy? Is this stress something that is like eating away at me? Does it make it difficult for me to wake up? Do I have like rashes or a lack of an appetite? Do I struggle overall in my life because I am carrying this burden? Now, before we get started, it's important to understand that people pleasing is a very natural thing. It actually comes as a result of just kind of us being children. We look to our parents to let us know whether we're doing right or wrong. Our parents reward us when we listen to them, they punish us when we don't. So we end up learning that, okay, if my behavior is okay, I need to look for someone else to let me know if it's okay. If my behavior is not okay, I need to look for someone else to kind of confirm that as well. And the big difference between our parents and everyone else is realistically, your parents had your best interest in mind. And what that means is everything that they were asking of you was actually to better you. And I'm sure all of you know that people pleasing in our society, a lot of things that are being asked of you are to better the person asking. They are not looking out for your best interest. And so we want to be able to understand kind of that difference and just general ways to overcome them. And we're going to talk about a few of the consequences that you find within people pleasing, where you allow fear and anxiety and stress to force you to want to be nice and do things that maybe you don't want to do, where it starts to eat away at you and it starts to seep into other aspects of your life. And so we'll go over those as well. Before we get started, if you are interested in discovering your purpose or building your confidence, I invite you to take advantage of a free 30-minute Conquer Your Fears and Self-Doubt coaching session. All you have to do is go to forecasthope.com/coaching. In that session, we will identify some of the false and limiting beliefs that are hindering and sabotaging your life. We'll go over some of the mindset techniques that will take your mind from one of fear and failure to one of accomplishments and confidence. And you'll leave that session feeling renewed, rejuvenated, and really inspired to make those changes that you've always wanted to make to create your dream life. Again, if you're interested, go to forecasthope.com/coaching to learn more. So as we get started today, I just want to go over 5 consequences that you will find within people pleasing. And we'll go over 5 solutions to overcome them, and then we'll kind of tie it all together with a quick bow. So the first consequence of people pleasing, you're going to find that you start building resentment for people that you care about. You start feeling like they are asking so much of you that they have to know that it is too much, that they are taking advantage of your kindness. And even though you could tell them, you are uncomfortable with the idea of expressing any sort of ill will, any sort of bothersome, so you just keep going ahead. And even though you're going on and you're helping them and you're putting your best effort forward, the resentment and the passive aggressive nature will start to seep out of you. None of us are made in a way where we're just like someone's punching bag. And even though we don't like confrontation, we really don't like being taken advantage of even more. And what ends up happening is your mind starts to kind of seep these thoughts out of you. Maybe your body language is being read, or maybe someone invites you to go somewhere with them and you're like, I'd rather go home and go to sleep. Like it slowly comes out where everybody's like, I wonder what's wrong with Dre and Mike. Like it seems like there's something going on. I wonder what is maybe. They seem like they were so close. I'm just not 100% sure what's going on with them, but there is something underlying there. And we want to make sure that we don't let it get to that point. And it's important to understand, if you want to make sure that you don't build any sort of resentment and animosity, you have to express your feelings to that person. Right? The first time that someone takes advantage of us or they take our kindness for weakness, that falls on them. But then it's our responsibility to let them know that we're not going to continue to allow this. Now, maybe that means that we walk them through it the first time and we help them and we do it together, but we let them know after that, hey, don't expect me to do this again. This was a one time thing. You were in a crunch. I wanted to help you. I care about you, but I have enough things on my own plate. Or maybe you're like, hey, you know what? I'll give you a training once or twice or three times, but after that, you're going to have to pick up your own workload because I have a lot of work that I'm already doing. And this also has to do with like our friends and family, where maybe you have one of your friends that is, you swear that they move like every 5 weeks, where they keep calling you, they want to borrow your truck and they want you to help them move. And you're like, look, I've done it like a few times. You're going to have to pay like a moving company, or at least you're going to have to ask someone else. Or maybe if I do help you, I'm not carrying the big items again because it seemed like you were having me carry all the large items. Right? You want to communicate what you're feeling on the inside, which will help you to manage it better, where you're not like a pot boiling over and then it just kind of explodes out of you. Because then your message gets lost. People are thinking that you're overreacting, but it's been like a slow, steady drip. So instead of letting that slow, steady drip crack the dam, just go ahead and let them know how you feel. Express your feelings when you're not overwhelmed, when you're in a calm and you're like, hey, I've been really trying to work with you. I care a lot about you, but I can't keep doing this. And you'll find that more times than not, two things will happen. Number one is that if they care about you, they had no earthly idea that you were overwhelmed. You were hiding it. Every time they asked you for help, you said, sure, I can help you, no problem at all. And number two, you'll find that there are some people taking advantage of you. And because you are no longer allowing them to do that, they're going to leave your life. And that becomes the question like, okay, well, what am I trying to maintain by being a people pleaser in the negative context? And you're going to find that the people that will stay are going to stay anyways. And the people that will leave, you should count your blessings that they left. Number two is you lose your ability to enjoy other activities and other people. And what this has to do with is just the idea that when you're overburdened, when you're very stressed, that it becomes something that makes it difficult for you to enjoy multiple aspects of your life. So if you find that maybe when you're working, that you take your work home with you, maybe you log into a computer, or you're responding to emails, etc., it becomes something that you're always thinking about. You almost hear your email chime and it's not even chiming, but you're like, oh, I think I got another work email. And what ends up happening is the people you're with, they're like, well, you're not even really here. Like, sure, you came, sure, you said you'd hang out with me, but you haven't put your phone down, you haven't put your work computer down. Like, when are we going to have like the us time, the whole reason that we're here? And you're going to find that it's very difficult for you to disconnect from work because you're so stressed, you're so worried that there's so much going on because you're so busy because you never say no. And as a result, you can't enjoy any of these other activities. I remember reading a story of someone who was talking about how difficult it was as a mother to even enjoy her kid's like sporting event because she was always focused on work and she knew that there was so much stuff waiting for her that it was difficult for her to even relax for a moment. And you just don't want to allow yourself to get to that point in time. So again, this one is a lot the same with the first one, where this has to come with communication. You're going to have to let someone know that, hey, you know what? I have this amount of work. I only have this amount of time. I'm going to leave at this time because I have to do this with my kid, and I'm not going to log in at all. And if you did not hear last week's episode, I do encourage you to go back and listen to it. You can go to the letter U, forecasthope.com/episode 11, where we talk about work-life balance, and we talk about a lot of different strategies. And I'm just going to mention one here because we're all together for the sake of convenience. And it really comes down to making sure that you don't allow yourself to be distracted. You make sure that you get the maximum amount of effort and work production within that work hours. And then when you clock out and you don't take your work computer with you, nobody can say anything. If anything is missing, it has to do with that person being inefficient on their end. Don't send me something at 6 o'clock. I'm not looking at it until the next morning. If you want me to look at it the same day, then you need to make sure you get it to me by like 3:30 or 4 o'clock because I'm not doing any last minute stuff either. Now, of course, there may be some one-offs, but we're trying to change the overall culture, the overall way that people interact with you. Because again, the first time it's on them, after that, it's you. You set the standard of how you want to be treated. So if you want to avoid that stress and the fear and the anxiety that has to do with people pleasing, you're going to have to start telling people what's on your mind and what's okay with you. And I've talked to people before, what they say is, well, Dre, I'm trying to avoid that confrontation. I'm trying to avoid those issues. When I stop people pleasing, when I stop helping people, when I stop taking the bullet and being the bigger person, it creates a whole can of worms. And I understand the way that some are looking at it is, Dre, I'm either going to have this stress, anxiety right now by being a people pleaser, or I'm going to have it later by telling them I can't help them anymore. But again, I want to focus on that third option. What most likely will happen first, if they genuinely care about you, they're going to make sure they stop putting so much of their work on you. Remember, most likely they did not know that you were feeling overwhelmed and burned out because you had so much on your plate. They asked you and you told them that you could handle the work. So when you tell them and they care about you, they're going to want to A, help you, and B, not burden you. And two, if the person doesn't care about you and this causes them to terminate the relationship, it is a blessing. It is a good thing that you no longer are carrying this burden of a one-sided relationship where someone is taking advantage of you. Number three is you're going to be neglecting yourself. When you feel busy, when you have so much going on, when you're devoting all of your time to help other people, you find that you have very little time for yourself. So if you're someone who wants to eat healthy, then you're going to find it very difficult to eat healthy. You only have enough time to get fast food, or at least you get a lot of heavy processed foods where it only takes like 10 minutes to cook. You find yourself eating at horrible times because you're getting home at bad times, and you have a bad sleep schedule because you don't even have enough time to get a full night's sleep. All of these are because you are giving your personal time to help someone else. And that neglect of yourself, that really does start to weigh on you. And you find that that is where a lot of the stress symptoms that you have end up coming from. When you start having the loss of appetites and irritability, and you have rashes, or you have respiratory problems, and you have like sleeping issues, loss of hair, all of this has to do with the fact that you are not devoting the proper amount of time to yourself. And while it sounds selfish, it really isn't, right? There are lots of analogies, and one of the cooler ones that I often enjoy is the one where you're on an airplane and they're like, okay, first you have to put your oxygen mask on, and then once you secure yours, you're then able to help other people put their oxygen mask on. They don't tell you to go the other way around because you won't be able to help people as well. Once your oxygen starts once your oxygen starts depleting because you're trying to help one person put their mask on, and then you pass out or you die, you're not able to help the second, third, fourth, or fifth person that maybe you would have helped if you put your mask on first. And it's important to understand that that is what you're trying to do. You are trying to take care of yourself so that you can help those people who you care about. But you find that if you are neglecting yourself and you're cutting these corners, you actually find that has a negative impact on some of the people that you care about. For example, in our food story, because you were spending so much of your time helping other people that you had to eat fast food and heavy processed foods, that seeps into your family as well. When you were able to cook meals at home, that actually positively impacted your family as well as yourself. You were eating healthier, and as a result, your family was eating healthier. Now, because you don't have time to eat healthy, that trickles to your family as well. Now that you're eating unhealthy, they're eating unhealthy with you. And you find that whenever you are focused on people pleasing, I know we like to make it sound like it's a negative thing for you to be focused on yourself a little bit, but you actually find a lot of the goals that you set for yourself can have a positive impact on the people surrounding you as well. So you want to keep that in mind. When you're able to put yourself first, that enables you to help more people. And a lot of the times the goals that you have that you're focusing on has a positive impact on the people in your life. Don't let someone guilt you into thinking that you're being selfish when you're really just trying to make sure that you're healthy enough to take care of the people that you want to take care of. Number four, you'll find that stress and depression are often linked to people pleasers. And it's very difficult when you're taking on all this burden, all this stress, and you start feeling a little depressed that you're unable to do the things that you want in your life. And now, whether that is making time for family, or maybe writing a book, or getting healthy, or losing weight, starting a business, whatever it is that you have set for yourself, because you're so busy taking on everyone else's burden, it makes you depressed because you feel like you're not getting anything done. That you spend all of your time working and you don't have any of these results. And that's tough for any of us because we all have this feeling inside of us that we know exactly what we're trying to accomplish in our life, and we're just trying to figure out how to balance the time and the money aspect of most things. And if you can't get the time right, then surely you can't get the money right. And that's very tough on you to live in what feels like a perpetual hamster wheel. That every time you do something, it just seems like something else drops in and takes more of your time away from you. And so you want to make sure that you understand that that starts as stress. Because remember, stress in its most simplest terms is demands that others put on you that you feel inadequate to accomplish. And so if someone tells you we need to have this done by tomorrow morning, if you feel stressed, it's because you don't think you can get it done by tomorrow morning. If someone says that you need to give a speech and you're a little nervous about giving speeches, that's because you think that you're going to like stutter or forget a line or something's going to happen. If you're a student studying for a test and you feel stressed about the test, it's because you don't feel like you have enough time to learn, or at least you don't know everything that you think is on the test. So stress is always the demands that you put on yourself or the demands that others put on you against your perceived ability to accomplish those goals. So whenever you find that you're unable to accomplish goals that you have, that first starts as stress, and then it leads into depression, anxiety, and other symptoms. Now, the difficult thing about stress is we don't always know that we're stressed. We may have some symptoms that we just didn't link to stress. But if you work on solving the problem, so what I mean is if you have problems sleeping, don't just say, hey, I have difficulty sleeping sometimes. See if there's something that triggers that. Maybe that day at work or tomorrow you have something going on and it really makes it hard for you to sleep. If you have like a rash or a loss of appetite or something like that, see if you can find out what triggered it. It could be something that's already happened or something that you're worried about in the future. But if you take the time to solve your problems, whatever they are, whatever symptoms that you have, you will be able to find what caused it. And when you find the cause, you're going to find that it's most likely an event in stress, and your body is trying to let you know that I'm not handling this very well. I need you to help me out. I need you to get me out of this situation. Could you please let them know that we have more than enough on our plate and we can't take any more requests at this time? What usually happens is we just think that this is a part of life, right? People have difficulty sleeping. People don't feel like eating all the time. People get rashes and they get irritable. People get stressed at work. This is all a part of normal life, so I'm not going to worry about solving it. It's going to go away on its own. I wish it would, but it really doesn't. And that's why you see like surveys where it says like 60, 70% of people are unhappy in their job. When you see like 60, 70% of people are unhappy with their weight, you find that it has to do with this idea that this is just the way I am. I stress out when things happen. I overeat when I get stressed. This is just the way things are. But it's not the way things have to be. And if you take the time to solve the problem when it happens, whenever you have some irregular situation, you will be able to link it to the cause. As long as you don't believe that that is who you are and you're going to fix it, I guarantee you, you will find exactly what caused it, and then you can handle that issue head on. And fifth, you just want to make sure that you're not taken advantage of. And all of us know that there are people out there who are only looking out for themselves, and we try to avoid them at all costs. But they do make a living out of taking advantage of people, so you also have to go a little bit on the offensive and not just the defensive. As a quick review, there are two types of people in your life. Number one, there are the people who care about you, who ask you if you can help them, and you say yes, that it won't be a burden at all. And if they knew that it was stressing and creating anxiety, then they would not only stop asking you, they would help you. And then number two, there are the people in your life who are there to take advantage of you. And so you want to express how you're feeling, what's going on, because this is going to help you weed out the overall issues in your life. The people who care about you will show you that they care, and the people who are being selfish will show you that they're being selfish. The issue that you are creating is by hiding it, you're actually creating more stress, more burden, where everyone is taking advantage of your kindness, even though half of the people don't want to, or realistically a lot more than half, right? Most of the people in your life don't want to take advantage of your kindness. They just have no idea that you are carrying such a burden. So when you actually tell people what's going on, it'll help you immensely. My wife was telling me this story about her just sitting in a Starbucks, and she was like doing some work. She goes there at like 5 in the morning when they first open, just to kind of get away from me and the kids so that she can get some work done. So she goes there before she gets started, and she just like orders a coffee. And because she's doing work for 3 hours, she just orders it with her company card. She doesn't really take anything else into Starbucks with her, just her work stuff. And there was this person who came up and was like, hey, can you get me a cup of coffee? I only have enough money for a bus ticket. And then my wife was like, look, I really want to help you. Like, she looked and she tried, but she just didn't have anything else. And the person was very upset when she told her that she had nothing to give her. Because from the other person's point of view, she's like, oh, you got all this stuff. Surely you have enough money for coffee. It's only like $5. But she didn't. She really just didn't have anything else. And just like all of us, when someone asks us for something, even though we're unable to do it, we start feeling a little guilty. Even if it's outside of our control, we start feeling a little guilty. Well, you know what ended up helping my wife get over her guilt? The person, the person's reaction. The person was trying to take advantage of her, and the only reason that the person talked to her is because my wife said good morning to them when they came in. So I guess that made her like a mark as someone that was like really nice and kind. So what ended up happening when my wife said no is the person basically called her everything but a child of God, and then they walked over and bought their own coffee. I know, right? Now, whether they dipped into the bus money and they were just going to go back out and get some more later, or whether they had it the whole time, this person was irate that my wife was unable to buy her a coffee. Yet, she was still able to get her own coffee anyways. And a lot of the times, that is what's happening in your life. It's not that the person is unable to do it themselves. They just believe that you will do it for them, and that's a lot easier than them doing it for themselves. And you have to understand that if someone is genuinely understanding and they care about you, when you tell them that your load is full, they're going to believe you and they're going to react in a positive way. If you don't want to be taken advantage of, you are going to have to make sure that you allow some of these bad relationships to go. You are maintaining them by making it so one-sided that it's like, who wouldn't want to be in a relationship with you? You're so kind, you're so giving, you're so thoughtful, you're so selfless that you're attracting the good and the bad. And all I'm saying is if you're honest with people, then you will get rid of the bad and the good will stay there. It's just like any relationship, any marriage, any family. It's never going to be a one-sided relationship and work. It is going to have to be a give and take. And I'm not saying 50-50. I'm saying it's going to be 80-20, 90-10, 100-0, and then it's going to flip. You're going to need them more than they need you, and then they're going to have to carry 80% of the load to the 20% that you can manage. That is what real relationships are made out of. And you have to stop looking at relationships in the sense that if I give them what they're asking for, it is going to make my life easier in the short term. Because we've already discussed with these 5 consequences that no, it is not. It's making your life much, much, much more difficult. You have to be able to allow yourself to be honest with others. You have to communicate with them, and you have to be honest with yourself when you're feeling the stress and anxiety, and you're starting to see some of the symptoms. When you start feeling that you're changing because some of this resentment is building up, when you feel like some of your relationships are straining because you just can't figure out why anyone would keep asking you for stuff because you would never do that. If you start with the communication, then you'll find that it will be much easier. And I find that generally speaking that most people pleasers are really poor at communicating. They don't know how to say no. They don't know how to ask for help. And so all they do is just whatever is asked of them. And I understand that in general, they're just super nice people. And people pleasers, right? We all are people pleasing in some aspects of our life, but it's really important to just wrap our hands around the idea that the most help you're going to be able to offer is by you taking care of yourself. Just remember the analogy that I gave you. It's just like being in the airplane. You have to put your oxygen mask on first. You can't put on the other person's first and think that you're going to be able to help anyone else. You'll just be sacrificing yourself for the one instead of preserving yourself for the many. And that's going to do it for our time here today. I hope that everybody has enjoyed the time that we've been together. If you have any thoughts or questions, you can always email me. You found me on Facebook. If you want to join our Facebook group, just put in talkmindsetchange.com. It'll take you to the Facebook group. You can go to forecasthope.com. I mean, if there's anything that you need at all, just reach out to me. I am Dre, your mindset coach and mentor of change, and I just want to wish you continued blessings on your journey to become the champion of your dream life.